After 5 months, I have finally made another episode of this. And this time I'm using text-to-speech because of this complaint I got from GD Flaaroni. So let's move on, and show the level at full speed before going back through it at a slower speed to analyze it more in depth. The song used is ColBreakz 3000 and the level ID is 43,196,502 if you want to play it yourself. Let's begin with what I think of this first ship part. For one, it's a fairly generic gameplay style of opening ship with right side up and upside down gravity portals, and it ends with a generic rotating straight fly. So the gameplay, overall, is pretty boring even though it isn't bad. One good thing is that other than the last two blocks, the block design is far from bad. It's way better than something I can do. In fact, even though the pulses are slightly late, the transition doesn't detract from the level, but it also doesn't add anything, and it definitely feels like something more could have been done with it. Onto the ball part. Gameplay-wise, the transition is nice. It doesn't make you try to spam jump when it fades back in. The block design is nice and colorful but still looks organized and fits well with the beginning decoration, and the arrow design is very nice, if a little out of place. The gameplay isn't bad, although it still lacks some dynamicness. The cloud at the very end is very easily mistaken for a yellow orb, and is something I would move to a different position. The transition is similar to last time, but one thing that could have been added was to put more air deco where the transition is, as this would have made the level feel more complete. The next part is a normal-sized cube, and in this part the creator mixed up the block deco a little bit. Whereas before the block design was more grid-like, this time it used more edge decoration than inner decoration. The air decoration is unique. However, I would place the saws in locations attached to the structures rather than hovering in the air. This doesn't make the saws look bad, though, as this is more of my opinion. The spike pits aren't very creative even though they work well with the rest of the level. The transition is very short this time, although I think it's better than the previous ones as you can't really fit much into the space that this had. Whereas the others were very long periods of black screen, this one is simple but effective shading. Now we move on to the mini-ship, which seems to be a little bit of a mixture of the last few parts with a coin and some fireballs pretending to be fire-ish blocks. There really isn't much to talk about here besides the background and gameplay. The background is fairly simple, and I don't think it looks amazing. In fact, I think it actually clutters up the screen. After getting the coin, I think it's a little lazy even though it's still a little harder than the regular path. Overall, the gameplay isn't bad, but like most of the level from here onwards it doesn't stand out. After the ship, there is a cube which has very similar design. The gameplay on the cube is off-sync and not much fun to play, and the following transition throws the player off unless they already know what to do, which makes it very inconsistent and annoying. Finally, there is another very off-sync cubed part with a few speed changes and bad jump orb placements followed by a really out-of-place cutscene at the end of the level with even more off-sync speed changes. I swear that I've seen it in something like Lonely Travel before, too. The end screen looks okay, but boring since it reuses the same background that's been used in half of the level already. In summary, the level looks okay until the mini-ship, with nice block design and air deco, then it just starts to reuse everything it already had and gets really lazy with the gameplay. Some things I would have changed in the level would be to change the block design at the drop, if not too much more than the level actually does. I would have also tried changing up the background to look different at the drop, as the star's background gets pretty boring throughout the level. The gameplay is something that really makes this level bad, and there should have been much more playtesting and thought put into it. Really, in my opinion, it seems like an okay creator got lazy with gameplay and decoration. So, that's it. If you have any suggestions or thoughts about the level or the video, please feel free to put them in the comments. Like this video if you thought it was good and subscribe if you would like to see more of this in another 5 months. Ooftastic.